It's the DLLS Mavs podcast. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Your man Kevin Gray, alongside our DLLS Mavs beat writer Ron Harrod Jr. and our DLLS Mavs analyst Bobby Crow. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, coming your favorite team, even when we're stuck at home doing the show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on this terrific Tuesday afternoon here. What are the biggest questions that the Mavericks have to answer 9 days ahead of the NBA trade deadline and just 17 days away from the NBA's All-Star break? Plus, we'll dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, here with the latest on NBA trade season for your Dallas Mavericks. Ron, what's going on? How are we feeling?
Doing okay. It's snowy, it's icy. Wish that would go away, but I say that's too much to ask for from the city, so. Welcome to Dallas, what's going on?
That's right. Dalaska. That's right.
Well, there's a little more hustle and bustle in Victory Park today. Of course, a little over 24 hours from now, the Mavs are playing a game at American Airlines Center. The sun is kind of peeking out. Stuff is starting to melt. I can see little spots of road. I got to say, though, yesterday afternoon, it was around dusk, so like 5:30, 5:45. I got a little cabin fever, and so I just took a long lap around the neighborhood, and I ended up at the arena, and it was a beautiful scene. One of my neighbors in the building was walking his dog, so we ended up talking for a little bit. There was like a father and his daughter walking through, and he was kind of like pulling her so she could slide on the ice. It was beautiful. There were a couple guys just sipping a beer right by the Dirk statue. And there was a guy on PNC Plaza that put on some ice skates and was just skating around, had a hockey stick with him too. It was really cool. There was no cars, no traffic noise, no nothing. Just everyone was just kind of hanging out. It was beautiful. It felt like home, but kind of different. It was awesome.
Yeah, I let my daughter go outside and play yesterday in the snow and in the ice and have a good time. So she's been at school the last couple of days now. So she's had a chance to just hang out and have fun and do virtually nothing as mom and daddy work and play all the bills. So that's what kids are for. They get to just hang out and chill and have a good time. So hopefully you all have been safe and sound.
There's the guy that spent Saturday night in the suite. Okay, we see right.
Okay, well, mommy, look. Okay, well, mom and dad had a chance to play on Saturday night, and then we've been chilling out in the house ever since. But hopefully, all of you are staying safe and warm wherever you are, and being safe out there. It's been treacherous getting out there on the road, so if you don't have to, don't get out there and have yourself a good time at home. We've got a lot to talk about today. As Bobby mentioned, the Mavericks get back on the floor tomorrow. They take on Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves on the first night of a back-to-back. That game will tip off at 7:30 p.m. with our pregame show beginning at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. And we are just 9 days away from the NBA trade deadline, 17 days away from the NBA's All-Star break, where your Mavericks got back on the practice floor today after not being able to play on Sunday in Milwaukee against a reeling Milwaukee Bucks team. The Mavericks, of course, now at 19-27, sit 2.5 games behind the Los Angeles Clippers for the 10th seed and final play-in spot in the West. So the question is, gentlemen, with everything swirling around this team, trade rumors, trade season, however you want to term it, this team 8 games below 500 as we get ready to turn the calendar from January to February here at the end of the week. Ron, what's the biggest questions that need answering by the time we get to the trade deadline and All-Star break?
Well, one has to be, what is the direction of the franchise right now? Is the goal to kind of stay in that 7 to 10 range in going into the draft? We're talking about odds wise, or is the goal like, hey, let's try to make the playing game, or let's try to go up even higher, maybe get to the 4th, 5th worst record. They have to pick a path. right now. I'm not sure. It feels like it's around that 7 to 9 range where they're staying, but it really hasn't been like a strong directional pull. Versus Kyrie Irving is supposed to come back after the All-Star break. Anthony Davis, we still warming up. He's about 4 weeks away. Do you expect everyone to return? Are you going to look to, move one of those guys to maybe, quote unquote, help you go up? What is the direction of the team is the question that I think I need answering.
Yeah, I think that's really the only question because, everything else flows downstream from that decision. If you think like, all right, let's try and go for it. Let's make a push for the play-in. Well, okay, then the next question is, when is Kyrie coming back? When is AD coming back? Is it possible? Is it feasible to actually do that guys on the floor? And then once they are, then the question becomes, how good are they? How fit are they? How does that change Cooper's role? How does that change Naji's role? He's having the best year of his career by far. How does it change Max Christie's role? And Dwight Powell, like the Mavs are like undefeated with Dwight Powell, basically. Meanwhile, if the decision is, hey, ping pong balls are going to be our best friend for the next 5 months, well, the next question is, okay, is Kyrie going to play this year? Is AD going to play this year and or even be on the team by the end of the season? Is Naji going to be on the team? So you have to start with the big existential question, and then everything else flows from. And I mean, they have 1 week to figure it out. So hopefully they've been using this extra free time over the last few days to have some good Zoom calls.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 9 days away from the trade deadline. This team that still has for the rest of the season a team that's going to be playing a lot of good teams between now and the All-Star break. And more importantly, how are you going to manage the health of some of these guys who have been dealing with nagging injuries, throughout the course of the season? Namely, a guy like Daniel Gafford has been dealing with an ankle injury all year long. And what does this mean for the direction of what the team starts to look like? Because depending on what you decide to do here and the approach that they continue to take, which it appears they're taking a measured approach to the situation, given the lack of control of their draft picks over the next 4 or 5 years. Obviously, the fact that they're a second apron team, about $1 million away from being hard capped. This is a team that has not only got decisions to make on the floor, but also financial decisions on how they get guys like Moussa Cisse and ryannembhard on standard contracts, because you got to make room for those two guys to be part of your rosters. By the time we get to the All-Star break, they will have each, I believe, 1 game remaining on their 2-way deals, as long as they continue to be available for the rest of the time until we get to the All-Star break. So there's a lot of questions to answer, and some of them good, because I'll stick with the ryannembhard and Moussa Cisse part of it. You've discovered a couple of guys who have been contributors to your roster when you needed them to be, and in the case of ryannembhard, at times a starting point guard for you. So there have been some good questions that you had to answer, maybe not necessarily that you thought going into the season, but nonetheless, other pieces of business that have to get resolved, because there's a direction that has to be chosen between now by the time you get to the All-Star break, in my mind.
Yeah, I just rotated about the x-axis a little bit to let some more light hit my face. But I think a measured approach is a bad approach. I think right now, if the Mavs want to make the play-in, they need to add talent. So doing nothing is not going to help you achieve your goal. And meanwhile, if they, on the other hand,
sometimes we would praise you for doing nothing. Actually,
you should probably get worse. So like a wise man once said, it would be easier to do nothing. If the Mavs do nothing, then they're going to finish 11th or 12th or maybe 10th in the standings if they're lucky. And you don't want to do that. You just don't want to do that. That's not doing anything. There's not progress. There's no direction. You either want to get a little worse or you want to get a little better. And I think that, it's going to be tough for anyone to get better at this deadline, because there doesn't seem to be a lot going on. But, the Mavs have some options if they want to try and get better. They have a lot of options if they want to get worse. But I do think they need to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I just going off what Bobby said. I mean, we also need the question to answer: who exactly are the core pieces of the Dallas Mavericks? We can assume who we think those guys are, but if the right offer comes for certain guys, they might be out of here, which again, it kind of, who is the key pieces here? You know, you have your Lively, your Christie, your Naji's, your Flagg clearly is the main one. Like, I still don't know like who's untradeable. Like you would think is Cooper Flagg, of course, and after that you would think other players, but like I don't know that. You have to wait till those offers get very interesting. Then does the team turn those down? We haven't seen that yet. We don't know if that's going to happen. You know, if you get offered, 2 first-round picks for one of your top role players, you're like, dang, we really need these picks. But it's also like, okay, what if those picks don't end up being good players? It just becomes a dance. See, okay, who's basically like the untradeable players for this team? You know, Memphis traded Desmond Bane. It's not necessarily because they wanted to, but it's like, okay, we have 4 picks for this guy. Like it comes to a point where no matter how good of a player is, the draft cap is going to be too crazy to turn down. So what is that number for some of these players?
Yeah, the interesting part about the Mavericks is there's a few thoughts. Number one, like you can't be bad and expensive in today's NBA. That's just not tenable given the rules and the way things are set up. 2, either you don't want to get into a situation where you're middling around like the Chicago Bulls for years on end, being 39 and 43. Either you go for it or you make a direction to kill it and start over again. You're not going to necessarily do that because you did the hard part already and getting Cooper Flagg there. So the question is, how quickly are you able to build around the now 19-year-old to make things viable? Because next year you have to be somewhat good because you don't have control of your picks. So how much do you clean up your books? How quickly can you start to build pieces around Cooper Flagg to help you get to a point where you're competing next year because you don't own control of anything as far as draft capital for a number of years. So it behooves them to be good starting next year. Now, the finances may make that a little more difficult because they're older with Cooper Flagg, with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson. But there's still some semblance to the idea, well, maybe if you're the DeMont family and the ownership group here, do we want to go into next season seeing what this looks like? I don't know if that's necessarily the case because that's another question that has to be answered. How serious are you to the idea of committing to seeing Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving playing together? We've seen Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis play for 2.5 quarters together, and that was it. So that's another question for me is how serious are you about the idea of seeing Cooper Flagg, AD, and Kyrie playing together? Because if you are, yeah, you're not going to do too much to shake up what currently is on this roster because you simply can't afford to if you want to see that.
I kind of disagree that they need to be good next year. I mean, obviously you don't want to be bad, but like I wouldn't try really hard and expend the resources needed to try and get good between now and next summer. You know, like I'm hanging on to that Lakers pick, dude. I'm not trading that pick. And I'm not trading the Mavs' 2031 pick either. I'm hanging on to that for as long as I possibly can, unless that's the difference between, Giannis and no Giannis or something. I mean, that level of I'm holding on to those picks.
So are you okay then with next year potentially being another gap year then?
I mean, it's not a gap year is there's only one gap year. So you can't have 2 gap years in a row. It's just that's just being
that's who you are. Yeah.
That's just directionless. But like if the idea is go into next year and see what you have in these guys, there's a chance that you'll suck horribly. There's a chance that you're going to be awesome, but you're going to figure it out and go from there. Whereas if you can't take this exact roster into next season and be like, boom, baby, we're good to go. You have to add. And the only way you can add is by either trading the picks that I'm not going to trade or trading the young guys that I don't want to trade either. So, I would rather them go into next season forecasted to win 36 than trade a future first rounder and trade Max Christie and be forecasted to win 43. Like it's just, you can't be so afraid to give the Hornets the 9th pick in next year's draft that you end up trying like hell to become the 7th best team in the West, and then you fail there too, and you're going to get bounced in the first round, and it's going to suck for everybody. So, that's why you need.
So I think that's the calculus right there. What you just said, I think, is the calculus right there. If you're okay with the idea, like, hey, man, Charlotte, okay, y'all just going to have the pick. Okay, then you're going to be in a position where you're not going to burn resources trying to make a team good next year. Which,
and that's what I'm saying. I don't think they need to say we need to be good. It's just you don't want to be in a situation where it's January and you're we're talking about tanking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need to be at least average next year, or slightly. I guess if you technically win 30-some games, it's technically slightly below average. Like they shouldn't be below 30 wins next season. Like that's where like real problems come. If they actually finish with 36 wins next year, that's not like a loss, in my opinion. Just as long as they show like progress, Flagg is better, Christie is better. Some of your maybe whoever you draft this year, she'll say, oh, this is a good player. Like you're not gonna win with young players. We've talked about it. The Memphis Grizzlies have 3 players in the Rising Star Challenge. The Washington Wizards have 3 players in the Rising Star game. Neither of those teams right now are top 8 seeds in their conference. And they have 3 players that are in the game. The Mavs have 1. So it just shows you, like, even with young talent, it's a long way to go to win games.
When there's is PJ Washington the kind of player that you want on the team with Coop? Like, seems like a player like Naji fits better than a player like PJ. So and we coming into the year, we were like, dude, I wouldn't trade PJ for nothing.
Yeah.
Trust me. Now you're
trust me, was that guy.
For so long, I've said you have to figure out. That's what this year is about more than anything. This season, finding out the kinds of players that fit well with Coop. You will learn that as the year goes on. That's why it's so important that they aren't putting him in bad positions. That you're playing him at the spot that he needs to be. That you're giving him the ball in good areas of the floor. Because then you find, okay, these kinds of players fit well. These don't. Now that we have this information, let's build a team around him. That's why I don't want them to try and skip any steps here. Like you got to try and do this the right way because you only get one chance to build around a player on a rookie deal. And if you screw it up, then, a couple years later, you might be left with nothing.
Good luck to the GM who gets to take over that later on this summer, in the spring and summer, because that's going to be their job. That's going to be
their
great
opportunity.
It is. You got a chance. Like I said, the Mavericks did the hard part. You got the number 1 pick and that talent of Cooper Flagg to be able to have something to work with and figure it out from there. Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we welcome in our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, the latest on the Mavericks, including on Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and others, as we get closer to NBA trade season. All that and more coming up next. What kind of dreams did you have growing up as a kid? Did you want to be a professional athlete, an actor, or did you want to start your own business? And if you want to, Shopify can help you do that if you're ready to start your business right now. With Shopify, it's the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States of America. In fact, Shopify even powers our DLLS merch store, which you can see I'm wearing a shirt right now. So you can definitely check that out at store.allcitynetwork.com. Shopify even powers the DLLS merch store. You get all of our fantastic merchandise. They've even got you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email, and social media as well. And they have AI tools designed to help maximize your sales at any time. So if you're ready to sell, you're definitely ready to Shopify. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. Again, that's shopify.com/allcity. Check them out today.
I don't like being stuck inside. Okay. Weather's been cold outside, but it's going to thaw pretty soon. It's time to get back out there, get back at it, and face the world. Sometimes, especially as you get older, guys, you might not feel that drive. You might not have the will to get out there and flex your muscles or get in the gym or get to work or just get out of bed. And that could be because your body is withholding testosterone and not letting it rage through your system. But natural testosterone support from our friends at Mars Men can help you do just that. More than 90% of folks that have tried it have reported an improvement in their energy levels. Basically, it helps unlock the savings account of testosterone that your body's withholding from you. It's all natural. There's no synthetic stuff. There's no needles, none of that. It is all good, baby. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. Again, mengotomars.com. Let them know that DLLS Mavs sent you. It would help us a lot. Get started today.
Welcome back to the DLLS Mavs podcast. It's time to dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial him up on X at the Stein line, as we are just 9 days away from the NBA trade deadline, as the Mavericks figure to be prominent over the next 9 days. Mark, what's going on?
The world famous Kevin Gray. ABC.
Oh man, yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion's best buddies.
No, that's my wife.
Family, the Gray family.
That's my wife. Yeah. Shout out to Luca. That was a hell of a night on Saturday night. But yeah, let's get to it, man, because there's a lot. You dropped your latest notebook last night, giving the NBA fans a lot to chew on going into Tuesday and for the rest of the week. As we know, you and your buddy Jake Fisher will be busy. So will the Mavericks. Let's just start here with Anthony Davis. Your best read on the Anthony Davis situation as he continues to recover from that ligament damage in his left hand. We've seen him recently getting on the court, getting some work in as he tries to work his way back. As we know, he'll be sidelined into March with that injury as he turns 33 on March 11th. What's the latest with Anthony Davis heading into the trade deadline?
I think the Mavs will keep the lines open in case something materializes there. At this point, I don't think there is anything that you would label as especially active in terms of AD talks. I suppose that could change, 9 days left, like you said. So until the deadline actually passes, I'm not going to shut the door on anything. But, there's been a lot of chatter about what Rich Paul wants. Rich Paul has been adamant in saying that he has not demanded a trade. He certainly didn't demand one by this week, as was reported in some corners. I mean, that would have made absolutely no sense. Why would there be a trade demand the week before that? This must happen the week before the deadline. That just didn't make any sense. My best read on it is I think AD would prefer to not have to go through another in-season change. I really don't want to speak for him because I have not spoken to him directly about it. That's why I'm wording this as my best read of the situation. I think that he would prefer to stay put for the rest of the season, and then the Mavs can take a longer look at this in the offseason. But look, there's also been so much chatter about it that, could some team decide to get back in the mix here and open conversations? The Mavs have constantly messaged that they're not just going to give him away. They're not just going to do a deal that makes salary cap sense, that makes, if the salary cap math works, that's not the only consideration here. Like they don't just want to give Anthony Davis away, who obviously has had one injury after another since he's been a Mav, but has also shown flashes of, what he can do. And when he's healthy and when he's good, he is still a two-way force. So I know you want a definitive answer on exactly what is going to happen with Anthony Davis. I cannot give you a definitive answer. I think we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But I think the Mavs have also let it be known that if no trade materializes, they are more than ready to take this into the offseason, see where things stand after the lottery, and plot their course from there. And of course, there would most likely be a full-time GM in charge by then to run that process, which is something they don't have right now. They're doing this by committee. In effect, Patrick Dumont is the one with the final vote. He's got a cabinet of, obviously you've got the co-GMs with Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley, and Jason Kidd has a very loud voice, and, Cuban is consulting to some degree. And, basically Patrick is taking on board all these takes and views and opinions, and ultimately he's got to cast the deciding vote.
And as you mentioned, they're going to continue to, field incoming calls for Davis. But if the trade doesn't materialize, that could mean something very interesting with respect to Kyrie Irving, we'll turn to here because, and we'll get to the other guys here in just a moment as far as their trade deadline prospects. What could this mean for Kyrie Irving as he continues to work back from his torn ACL? Jason Kidd mentioning last week that he's looking to potentially come back after the All-Star break, which would be, of course, beginning on February the 13th. So their first game after the break could be February 19th against the Bucks on the road, or against the Minnesota Timberwolves on February 20th on the road. What's the latest in terms of Kyrie Irving and his potential return and what that means for this season?
I think in the perfect scenario, the Mavs would love to get a look at just have a glimpse of what it looks like. Like, it's amazing to think we're almost a year removed from the trade. You don't even have to elaborate. The trade is all you have to say. Everybody knows what we're talking about. We're almost a year removed from that. AD and Kyrie Irving. Let's not even bring Cooper Flagg into the discussion yet. AD and Kyrie Irving have only played in one game together over 3 quarters and 20-something minutes. And that's it. And so they haven't even seen AD and Kyrie together, really. And I think they would love to at least have a glimpse of what it looks like. But the reality is this is not a perfect world. And there are a bunch of timelines here all over the place. Wow, I think my Buffalo Bills just hired a coach as we're recording this, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I believe it's Joe Brady, according to what I'm seeing here.
Okay.
So I'm a little distracted. My bad. So again, it's not a perfect world. And so look, AD, the Mavs have the Mavs have believed that AD is going to be available to come back at some point in March as long as rehab keeps going the way it's going. Kyrie Irving, when we see glimpses of him on the practice floor, he's clearly made good progress, as Jason Kidd said and as you cited. You would think at some point in February he would be ready to play. But if the Mavs at that point are in, what did I call it last night in my story? I took it a step further. It was actually for you because I know you love it.
Draft positioning, prioritization.
Yes, draft positioning, prioritization mode. If that's where the Mavs are by the time Kyrie and, of course, AD are ready to come back, you do have to factor in the standings to some degree if you're Dallas. But then with Kyrie, there's the other side of the coin, which is Kyrie sustained that knee tear in early March. If he doesn't play again for the rest of the season, that certainly would help the Mavs in terms of lottery positioning. But does that really help Kyrie Irving? That means he will be out for nearly 20 months by the time he comes back. Some players, that's fine. Some players, that's daunting. And only I do not know where Kyrie stands on that. He's, I would imagine he's going to have a loud voice in that decision. Does Kyrie Irving go to the Mavs and say, guys, I'd really like to play 5-6 games just because I don't want to go 20 full months without NBA basketball? So this is another scenario where, again, I would love to tell you Kyrie Irving will be back on such and such a date. AD will be back on such and such a date. I'm not sure the Mavs know. I'm not sure the individual players know. And like I said, especially with Kyrie, I would imagine he would have a very strong say in when he comes back. So after the trade deadline and after the All-Star break, the Mavs are going to have a lot of decisions to make still, even if AD is still on the roster. The Kyrie situation, I mean, there are a lot of variables and things that they're going to have to figure out.
So let's play some rapid fire with some of the guys that have been in the news in terms of potential trades as the February 9th trade deadline, February 5th trade deadline is approaching. Let's start with Daniel Gafford. What is the latest with him and how teams are interested in him around the league?
It's certainly not as noisy around Daniel Gafford as it was earlier in the season, but I would also say I'm not going to just totally buy into the quiet because so many teams are searching for big men. I mean, just off the top of my head, Boston, Indiana, Toronto in the East have all shown interest in finding a big, and it doesn't stop there. So could Gafford still be on the move? I think we have to keep open that possibility. But early in the season, when I routinely said Daniel Gafford is generating the most robust trade interest of any Maverick, I would probably shift that now to Naji Marshall. The way Naji Marshall has played, his contract is very team friendly. He has been outstanding, but as I reported this week, I reported this on Sunday, not yet last night in my Sunday notes, Naji Marshall and Max Christie have both established themselves. They are very valued members of the post-Luka era. They play very well alongside Cooper Flagg. They fit in very well. Their games mesh. They've both just got, Naji and Max Christie have just gotten better and better and better. And so the trade threshold for either of them, and I do think there are teams out there interested in both, it's very, very high. I mean, I think you have to be in a zone where really, if we're going to talk untouchables, Cooper Flagg is in a class by himself there.
True.
I think Kyrie, there's really no trade discussion surrounding Kyrie when we haven't actually seen him play in almost a year. And I think, it's been messaged that the Mavs, again, no matter what happens with AD, I do think the Mavs would love to see what Kyrie Irving looks like next to Cooper Flagg. So Naji Marshall and Max Christie, I think, are in kind of a category of their own. The Mavs do not want to trade them, but it's the heart of trade season. It's the last 9 days. The phone is going to ring. Teams are going to probe. Teams are going to make offers. And look, with Naji specifically, I've been told it would take at least a first to pry him away. And he's played that well. Like, there is a shortage of two-way wings that are available in the NBA. The whole trade season has just been Keon Ellis. That's been all the talk because he's the only one who is seemingly confirmed to be available. But, the Mavs will have a decision to make because like I said, I do not think they want to trade Naji Marshall, but he's played so well that he's making the phone ring.
And, of course, Naji just celebrated his 28th birthday this past weekend, so a player who has become a fan favorite here. And, of course, we are a pro knife show here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Real quick before we turn our attention to a couple other guys, how serious is that interest in both Naji Marshall and Max Christie around the league, given your read and understanding of what the threshold is for them now? I
think the interest is significant, but I also think it's pretty well known that the Mavs don't want to trade those players. Sure. So, but again, that doesn't stop teams from asking. And, just like I'm sure there are players the Mavs are asking for on, from other teams that can't be pried away. But yeah, there's no question both of those guys have been super impressive and have, they've gained a lot of attention.
Yeah, we're hoping to see Max Christie join Cooper Flagg during All-Star Weekend, of course, as part of the three-point contest where he's become a top 5 three-point shooter this season, and Max Christie playing himself definitely into the most improved player conversation. Last couple guys before we let you go here. So we've mentioned a lot with Gafford and obviously Naji Marshall, Max Christie. What about a couple other guys in terms of Klay Thompson, maybe Caleb Martin to a degree, who's played well over the last 2-3 weeks at this rate, D'Angelo Russell, who's become essentially not a part of the rotation anymore as well. What about those individuals as we head into the trade deadline?
Klay has been fantastic since the move to the bench. He's been shooting the ball great over the last 2 months, really longer than that probably. But the reality is for all those guys, if you have an extra, they all have extra years on their deal beyond this season. I think all three have at least one more year on their deal, and that's going to complicate the trade market. I mean, that we are in the apron era. Now, I would say on one hand, we've only seen one trade in season, Trae Young to Washington. That's it. But the last 2 trade deadlines were also under the apron rules, and we saw an average of 26.5 trades in season. So I think, and look, the bulk of the business, nearly 80% of the business, even the last 2 years, it happened in the final week. So we are still going to see 10 plus trades between now and 2 p.m. Central on February 5th. We'll probably see more than that. I think we'll see plenty of activity. It's just moving a little slower than it normally is, but it's just difficult, and it's difficult to move players with, extra money on their deal. That's just the reality. So I don't foresee, Klay again. Klay has played so well here over the last, I don't know, X amount of time. You probably know the exact numbers better than me, that, maybe someone decides they do need a shooter. I don't want to speak it into existence because I'm a Klay fan and I love having him here, so I really don't want to talk about it. But but I don't know.
There are real contenders that could use a Klay Thompson. I'm thinking about Detroit, particularly, that could use
no question. There's no question. But the thought is, can we handle next year's 17-ish million?
Sure.
The issue is not. The issue is, I mean, obviously, teams always want two-way wings. They always want size. They always want shooting. There's lots of teams that would love to have Klay Thompson, but it's just a matter of, are you willing to take on an extra year at whatever, 16, 17 mil, whatever that number is that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, over 17 million going into that final year. He'll be on an expiring deal going into what is the 26-27 season. Marc Stein, terrific stuff as always. We know this is a busy week ahead of you with the NBA trade deadline 9 days away. The All-Star break coming up as well in Los Angeles in about 17 days from now as well. So a lot going to be happening here over the next couple
I have
of weeks.
to say, though, just before I go, quick shout out to Mark Aguirre. I am so excited for Thursday night. I've tweeted about it. I did a Substack note about it. Like, I cannot stop watching the Converse commercial from my high school days that Mark Aguirre, that Marc Aguirre was in. I loved watching him play in high school. I wasn't in Dallas when he was a Maverick, but I've got to know him a little bit over the years. And I am just to have Mr. Aguirre there, to have Roe Blackman, Derek Harper. They say Isaiah Thomas is coming. I think.
Oh, wow.
Your buddy Dirk Nowitzki will be there. It's going to be Thursday night. It's going to be 1 week out from the deadline, so I know everybody's going to be coming up to me asking me trade deadline questions. But I am really excited for Thursday night's jersey retirement.
Yeah, Marc Aguirre will have his jersey raised to the rafters on Thursday night when the Mavericks take on the Charlotte Hornets, which should be a pretty fun game between two of the best rookies in the NBA this year in Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. But Marc Aguirre will be the man of the hour on Thursday night.
And the very dangerous Hornets who run up 50-point leads like it's nothing.
Good gracious, man. Good for Charles Lee and that group. They are starting to figure some things out there in Charlotte. So good for them. Mark, we appreciate the time as always. Look forward to talking to you. We got back-to-back on Wednesday and Thursday as the Mavericks take on the Wolves and the Hornets on Wednesday and Thursday. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you then.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Appreciate it. So, of course, we've been stuck inside over the last few days, but good thing I stocked up on my premium meat and seafood thanks to Wild Fork Foods. I've been able to enjoy some New York strip steak, got some shrimp in the freezer as well that I'm going to thaw out and be able to eat with a little surf and turf as well. And thanks to Wild Fork Foods, I've been able to enjoy the time inside just fine. In fact, they've got 9 DFW locations that you can check out. My favorite, of course, that Bobby and Tanner and Ron will know soon, is the Wiley location. Make sure you check them out at one of their 9 DFW locations. They blast freeze everything, so it's incredibly fresh when you open it up for the very first time, so you get the premium meat and seafood no matter where you get it at any time, especially when you go to wildforkfoods.com. In fact, they've got even incredible sides as well to be able to pair it with your meal at any point. So make sure you go to wildforkfoods.com. Again, wildforkfoods.com. Check out the incredible lineup of premium meat and seafood there as well. Tell them the DLLS Mavs sent you. Again, wildforkfoods.com to check them out today and get the best meat and seafood in the game today.
And this episode of the DLS Mavs podcast is sponsored by Big Brothers Big Sisters. So January is National Mentoring Month. It's not something that I even knew, but it's very important, especially if you're looking to mentor a kid that goes from ages elementary school all the way up to high school. And the All City Network is proud to be a partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters because showing up for your city goes beyond sports. Now, right now, thousands of kids are waiting for a mentor, someone to listen, to encourage, to simply just be there for them. And the impact is real. Just a few hours a month can help a young person build confidence, stay on track, and see a bigger future. If you care about your community, the way that you care about your teams, this is the moment to make a huge difference, someone that can really need one. To become a mentor today, by visiting vbs.org/allcity. That's vbbs.org/allcity. Step up, be a big, and help shape the next generation right here in our city.
Welcome back to the DLLS Mavs podcast. We appreciate you all hanging out with us here on this Tuesday afternoon. Remember, our pregame show tomorrow will begin at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports as the Mavericks begin the first of a back-to-back when they take on Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Mavericks did practice today. We will see what the injury report looks like going into tomorrow night's game against Minnesota. Andrew with the $1.99 super chat. Nico created a hole in a crater that seems too much to climb out of. At this particular point, as of course the Mavericks have some different things to work with. Or
I
not
disagree. It is not too big of a hole to climb out of. All holes can be climbed out of, even if they're a crater. The Mavs basically got like a Deus Ex Machina last May whenever the ping pong balls turned out the right way for them, and that definitely helped. They got a little jetpack to get almost all the way out of the crater. And with a little bit of injury luck and with a little more ping pong ball luck, they might be primed. I mean, this might be a top 6 team in the West next year if they're able to get a good player in the draft. It's just going to take a little work. It's going to take a little commitment, can-do attitude, and a little bit of good fortune, and they can be right back on their way next year.
Yeah,
Tyler with the there you go. Tyler with the $1.99 super chat. Luka 2028. What do y'all think?
So I saw that chat come in during the Stein convo, and all I can think of is, the shot of Scottie Pippen on the bench, and he kind of like picks his shoe up.
Yeah.
I think that's going to get a lot of play over the next couple of years.
Also, going to wear your pair of Luka 5s to wave Luka back onto the Dallas in a couple of years. Is that what you're saying?
I don't have Luka 5s. I do have Luka 1s. I was fortunate enough to get some gifted to me once upon a time, but I've worn them a couple times, so they are a little worn in. But
yeah,
most shoes I wear go to ass pretty quickly, so I haven't tried to wear them too much.
It's probably going to come down just to what the Lakers do. Bobby said a crap ton. They just fail upwards all the time. Them and the Boston Celtics, it seems like. Same as the Yankees and the Dodgers in baseball. And we can talk about every other sport as well. But you have to just hope that doesn't happen this time. But then you also are hoping that Luka fails. And then if he fails, everybody's going to crap on him for 4 years. So as a Luka fan, it's really you all's choice. Do you want Luka to be crap talked by every single person on ESPN for near half decade and then maybe come back to the Mavs? Or do you want him to have success, everyone to love him, and then maybe he doesn't want to come back? Your choice. Congrats. It's a crappy choice.
The Mavericks will be a part of this discussion. They'll be one of the more fascinating teams this summer, especially if AD is on this roster, going into the summer. The Lakers will be another one because they've got a ton of cap space that'll be opened up by the time we get to free agency with LeBron's contract coming off the books there. A couple things in terms of the draft assets, if you're looking at paying attention to what the Mavericks have available to them going into the trade deadline and going into the summer. So right now, of course, they have that 2029 unprotected first-round pick courtesy of the Los Angeles Lakers and a 2031 or 2032 first-round pick available to use in trades. That's their top draft assets. Other notable ones that they have, a first-round pick swap in 2031 or 32 and 2 second-round picks. Just so that you are fully aware of the ideas of what they have from a covered standpoint. I did find this note interesting from Bobby Marks here, so we get ready to take our next break here in a couple minutes. He's got his trade primer out for all 30 teams. Did you know, gentlemen, that Caleb Martin has a $1.3 million unlikely bonus, and PJ Washington has a $500,000 unlikely bonus. Now, those bonuses still do apply toward the apron, even though each bonus will not be reached this year. So that's just another piece of information to be aware of as you try to put your trade machines together at this time of year. So interesting stuff on their books. But yeah, we will see over the next several days what this will begin to look like as the Mavericks. Every rumor, every trade season conversation they will be involved in because they have a lot to decide and figure out. And more importantly, they get on the floor starting tomorrow when they take on Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And on the second half of back-to-back, to take on Charlotte and the Concanipple-led Hornets, who have been playing much better as of late as well. So,
can I say one thing about what Stein said about Naji?
Sure.
So, this is the most valuable that he will ever be as a trade piece. He's got another year on his contract left after this one at way below value, way below his level of production and skill. If the Mavs are in the same exact position next year, they will not get nearly as much back for him because he will be on a rental. If you keep him after this season, you're going to have to go to extension talks, but there's a cap on what the Mavs can offer him, the same as Max Christie. So it's about whatever it is, 4 years, $93 million. I forget the exact number that Bobby Marks told us when he was on the show, but
that's the exact number, yeah.
And Naji's definitely, I don't know if he's worth $25 million a year or whatever, but he's worth a lot more than what he's making now. But as soon as you pay him that much money, then you're probably not going to be able to get anything for him. Such is the nature of things in the NBA. It's not Naji's fault. It's just every team is stingy right now because the rules completely suck. So, you know, if you do not trade Naji right now, then I don't want them to trade Naji ever, because it would just be, you know, this is the most valuable that he will ever be. Just like this is probably the most valuable Max Christie will ever be.
Yeah, you're right. The number that you mentioned that Mark's put out there is 4 years at $93 million for Max Christie going into, which he's extension eligible for this summer. So Max Christie playing his best basketball at the right.
Same for Naji.
Yeah, same for Naji. So they're playing their best basketball at the right time, and rightfully so for them. They're going to have an opportunity to get paid. The question is, will the Mavericks be the ones to pay them, particularly in Naji's case? Would hate to see Naji go, but damn it, if someone comes calling for a first-round pick, you got to really make a choice on what that looks like. We mentioned he's 28 years old. Does he necessarily fit the quote-unquote timeline, even with the veteran presence that he's become and the type of player that he's become for this team?
Better be a good pick.
It has to be a good person.
31st pick or whatever. You know, like give
yeah, I was definitely thinking that too. Like, it has to be a lottery pick. I would assume so. Like, give me the 14th, you know. But I think it at least has to be in the NBA lottery. But also, I have a contract for a player that signed this offseason, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think he's like around the tier of a Naji Marshall and Max Christie. He signed for 4 years, 60. Now, maybe the price does go up every offseason, but to go up $30 million to me just feels like a lot. So either the Hawks just blew the offseason out of the park, A+, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's playing point guard, shooting guard, and small forward, and guarding the best player, and doing all the things, and he's getting 4 years, $60 million. So
15 to 17 sounds about right for Naji.
That sounds about right. He doesn't have a trade kicker, which is fine. Give him a trade kicker. But it just feels – I think Nickeil should be if Max is not signing for under $90 million, and there's players that basically do the same thing again in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they're making $30 million less in the offseason. You have to then I think you look to, okay, what can we get for this guy? Because now you're gonna have to pay him so much better than players that are basically just as good as him, if not better at this point. And that's where it gets tricky, where you're starting to overpay players, even if you like them. So I just want to put that out there as a comparison. Not saying they're the exact player, but very similar players in that way.
Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, it is Trivia Tuesday. The Corella Strategy going to take us through some Mavs history as we get ready for Mark Aguirre to get his number retired on Thursday. Now, all that and more coming up next.
Hey, Die Hard. All right, last time Tanner was clowning, but you see myself the right way. So to me, the Die Hard read is over there. That's where the QR code is. But I think to you, is it over here? I think
right
maybe
there.
I'm not too sure. Who can tell? The only one that can tell is you, because you can see the QR code in its proper place, or you can pull up your favorite web browser. Okay, we all have our favorite web browsers, and you can type in alldlls.com, and there you can sign up to become a diehard. What happens when you do that? Well, you give us a little bit of cash, okay, some USD, some currency that we can use to keep the lights on. In exchange, you get a shirt of your choice. We got more than 50 to choose from. They're all great. You also get a discount on any other gear. We got hoodies. They're very comfortable. They're very cozy. One of them has kept me warm throughout most of this ice storm. We got a bunch of other things as well. We got some hats. They look fantastic. You get to join the DLS Discord Lounge. Great place to hang out with fellow diehards. You get to read. You get access to all the articles on our site, that premium written content by folks like Ron on the Mavs beat, Jeff Wilson on Rangers, Sam and Sean on Stars, Clarence and Ali on Cowboys. It is a great, great, great program. You're going to be full of information. You're going to be stylish. You're going to be smart. You're going to be wonderful. You're going to have so many friends. Literally, what the heck are you waiting for? Sign up today.
Do that. Help us out as we nearly reach 40,000 subscribers here at DLLS Sports. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us on this Tuesday. Again, our pregame show tomorrow will begin at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports as the Mavericks take on the Timberwolves. It's time to get to Trivia Tuesday. Shout out to the Corellis Trader as we've got some special history coming up on Thursday. Mark Aguirre will have his number 24 jersey raised to the rafters. As you heard from Marc Stein, some dignitaries that will be in the building include Dirk Nowitzki, Isaiah Thomas, Rolando Blackman, among others, to celebrate what should be an incredible night for Marc Aguirre getting his number 24 jersey retired. So a special night coming up on Thursday. Let's have some fun with Trivia Tuesday before we get out of here.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. So we're going to have to go through these pretty quickly, okay? We're running short on time. So no dillying, maybe a little dallying. All right. I'll have a little bit of dallying. Chat, feel free to play along as always. We discovered during the Die Hard read that Tanner cannot play the cool theme music that we have for this, so it'll mute my mic. So we're going strictly off vibes. All right, no tunes, all vibes. Today's theme is players the Mavs have traded at the deadline. Okay. And we're going to go in reverse order, starting with the most recent one, Luka Doncic. Okay. Which of the following stats is Luka not top 5 in all time in Mavs history? Okay, so he is not top 5 in only one of these. All right, he is in the rest. Points, rebounds, assists, and three-pointers made. All total, not per game. Points, rebounds, assists, threes.
Rebounds.
Steals.
I did not say steals. I said points, rebounds, assists, and threes.
Oh.
You're sitting on top of a trap door that is going to open right now.
Okay.
Now.
Rebounds.
Rebounds. Okay.
Yeah.
So Gakujen, like you, KG. Well, Gakujen guessed blocks, but that's
nice choice.
Rebounds.
They also said that our camera quality looks amazing compared to the DLS Cowboys podcast. They say, can we
I don't know what the hell Chill was on.
To them?
We got a lot of rebounds guesses. We got some points guesses. Well, the correct answer is points.
Oh, wow.
He's 6th all time in scoring. With one more year, he would have passed Michael Finley. He would have passed him probably toward the beginning of this season because he was about, I think, somewhere around 2,000 points behind him.
That makes sense.
He's 6th all time in points.
Jeez, man.
And he will be 6th for another couple years, and then he'll come right back and move up. All right. Kristaps Porzingis traded
KP.
That was a thriller. KP averaged a little over 20 points and 8 rebounds per game in his Mavs career. Which other Mavericks players averaged those numbers across their entire career? No minimum game requirements. Okay, so if you played one game for the Mavs and had 20 and 8, you qualify.
Oh, wow.
Which other players have averaged 20 and 8 during their careers? Not for one season, total.
Luka, Dirk, 20 and 8.
Like 8 assists or rebounds, I assume.
Only rebounds.
Oh, okay. What's the player center? No. Is it Finley?
He said 28 at any point. Anthony Davis, yes. Shout out to
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis. What's the center that I think broke his foot for the team? He said no game requirement.
Anthony Davis? Derek Lively?
No, Lively. I don't think
Lively.
So I will say, you guys collectively did get the answers correct. Now,
okay,
Dirk did not do it actually over the last years of his career. He wasn't playing enough to get rebounds, and so his career rebounds average actually dipped below 8.
Yeah,
the only two answers are Luka and AD.
Oh well.
Wow.
The 20 and 8 players in Mavs history: KP, Luka, AD.
So keep Anthony Davis, everyone. That's what Bobby said. Anyway,
Yep. He's
we can move on.
In trade discussion. That's it right there.
All right. Next up is Kevin Gray's all-time trivia answer: Josh Howard. True or false? Josh Howard made his only All-Star team the same season he averaged a career high in points per game. So was his one All-Star berth the year that he scored the most points per game in his career?
This is obviously has to be false, but I'm gonna go true.
I'm gonna say false. We'll see.
The way he phrased it feels like it should be false.
Because he might have been a better player in the.
I'm gonna go true though.
Around points, it's very possible. It's not normal. I'll go false. The comments say no.
Well, I love a little good disagreement, a little sports disagreement.
I love what Tanner's doing with his answer.
I appreciate you, KG, for taking the bait. It is false. He was an All-Star in 06-07. Okay, that year the Mavs were like 55 at the All-Star break or something silly.
He had to make it.
They needed a second All-Star. He averaged 18.9 points per game that year. His career high came the next season, 19.9 points per game. Yeah, but he did not make the All-Star team that year. All right, next, Jason Kidd. Okay, I believe he was traded near the deadline. He was traded on Christmas, I think, for Michael Finley. So Jason Kidd, within one, how many times did Jason Kidd lead the league in assists per game in his career? He never led for the Mavs. That's a spoiler alert. How many times did he lead the league in assists per game?
3.
5.
5's a lot. Wow. If he did that, he had a long career. So I guess it's possible.
We got 3. We got 5.
We have a 2 in the comments.
2, 6.
190 by David.
190?
Dang. I understand.
He played forever.
Right.
Tanner guesses 6. We got Jake saying 0. Okay. A lot of 2s, a lot of 3s.
6.
A lot of people agree with you, Ron. The correct answer, Kevin Gray, take a bow, on the money, 5.
It's a lot.
5 times he led the league in assists per game. J. Kidd, of course, went from Dallas to Phoenix and then from Phoenix to New Jersey. And his first 2 seasons with New Jersey, they went to the finals.
Went to the finals, man.
Okay, lastly, the man of the upcoming hour on Thursday night, Mark Aguirre, traded from the Mavs to the Pistons way back in, I believe, 80. It was the 88-89 season, but I think it was in 1989 when he was traded. I'm not too sure. Before Luka came along, Marc Aguirre owned the Mavs' record for points per game in a season. What was his scoring average during that season? The season was 1983-84, which is the same year that this cup is from. This is the Moody Madness game. That's the cup I've been drinking out of today. What was his scoring average that season?
24.3.
Okay.
25.
25. Okay, we have a 28. We have a 32. Tanner, 32. A 23, 28. Luke Burns has 30. Okay, a lot of 29.7, 22.8. In the 80s Mavs, he must have averaged 4.7 points a game. That would be the 90s. That would be the 90s. They were good in the 80s. The correct answer, 29.5 points per game.
Wow.
That in 83-84. Let's Joe Fishing, 29.7. Almost got it down to the decimal point. That is very impressive. Oh, Pop with 29.4. Fred Sanford. Okay, I don't know. Fred, did you get that guess in before I
yeah, I think that might have come in at the
That's 2 incredible guesses in a row.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That year, Aguirre averaged 29.5 points on better than 50% shooting. also had 6 rebounds and 4.5 assists per game. That dude was a capital B baller. Uh-oh, we lost Kevin Gray. Kevin Gray is so shocked that he had to turn off his camera. Oh, he's back.
Nope.
Oh. What happened?
The camera died.
Ugh.
It's cool.
Oh no,
we're here.
So that was a fun little trivia Tuesday. Good guesses, everybody.
That'll do it for us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on this Tuesday afternoon. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with our pregame show at 6:45 p.m. ahead of the Mavericks taking on the Timberwolves. Remember, first night of a back-to-back, so the Mavericks got two games. We might do a tankathon spin tomorrow, depending on what happens. So for all those who are looking for a tankathon spin, we'll have potentially one of those tomorrow. Do your own tankathon spin. Tag us at DLLS Mavs, see what you come up with, and we'll shout you out there.
Just spin until they get the number 1 pick, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Just spin until they get the number 1 pick. Just do that. Appreciate our guy Marc Stein joining us a little bit early.
Spinning for hours. Okay, if they keep messing around.
Yikes. Appreciate our guy Marc Stein for joining us earlier on in the show as well. That's our DLLS Mavs analyst Bobby Curla and our DLLS Mavs beat writer Ron Harrod Jr. My name is Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6:45 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.